Alright, so we have discussed about solutions. Next is the concept of suspensions. So to understand what are suspensions, let us take a very common example. A common example can be muddy water. We have all experienced this one, especially these days. So we have what we have in a muddy water. You have some amount of liquid, and on that you have some solids. Okay. So why this is called suspensions? Obviously, you can understand the solid particles over here can be sand, right? Can be mud. So solid particles are basically remain suspended, isn't it? Okay. So that's why they are called suspension. Very common example. Obviously, we have all experienced this thing in our life. So let us now learn the properties of a suspension. There are four properties you have to understand. First, it is a non homogeneous, or you can say heterogeneous mixture. Heterogeneous mixture, obviously, because there is no uniformity, right? You can separately physically you can see the mud and the water. That's why it is a heterogeneous mixture. The second one is the particles can be seen by naked eye. In muddy water you can obviously see the mud, right? So particles can be seen with naked eye. Okay. The third property is very interesting. So if you throw a beam of light through a suspensions, because the particles are big and can be seen by naked eye, they can scatter a beam of light. This is very important. They can scatter a beam of light. As I said, this point is very important. Why they can scatter a beam of light? Because such particles are big compared to solutions. Number 4, the last one, is that if you let muddy water settle, okay, just focus over here. If you let muddy water settle, what happens? The mud will go down. So in a container, if I take muddy water, after some time, if you let it settle, what will happen? After half an hour, 1 hour, you will see the solid particles here, right? Now once you have this stage, you can separate out the water and the solute by using physical methods. So here I can use filtration for separation of the solid and the water, isn't it? So using filtration I can separate the solute and the solvent in this case. So these are the properties, 4 properties of suspensions along with an example. This much you need for your textbook curriculum for now in class 9. You'll obviously study about suspensions later in higher classes, but for now this much information is enough. 4 properties and the example muddy water. That's all about suspensions. So in the next video we shall be discussing about the next mixture. We have till now we have covered solution, suspension. Next we have to learn about colloid.